Okay, perfect. So this webinar is now being recorded. Welcome to our webinar for the Code for Change Challenge. There is a bit.ly that I will share with you, so you can also have this presentation after. I'll share it at the end, and that way you can read anything I said to you and be able to look at it whenever you want. So let me know in the chat as you go if you have any questions, or if you have some already, maybe I will answer them throughout this presentation, but if not, I will make sure we have time at the end to answer them. So let's get started. So I am going to give you first a quick introduction to HackerGal. I'd love to know if you have ever participated in one of our hackathons before, or maybe you came to HackerGal Day, or how you got involved with us. So please feel free to write that in the chat too. And then for about 10 minutes after that, I'm going to just give an overview of what the Code for Change Challenge is and what are the requirements. We'll look at the website a bit together and figure that out. I'm going to share a sample project that I coded, and hopefully that will help to get your creative ideas going and thinking about what you might want to code, what kind of project you might want to make. And I'm going to show you the Lynx Coding Platform. And that is a text-based, web-based coding platform. So I'm going to show you some of the commands and some of the things that you can code on your own, and hopefully that will help you get started on your project. I'll talk about the next steps, and then I'll give some time to ask questions, so I can stick around a little bit longer if you have any particular questions. So let's get going. Who is HackerGal? So we are a Canadian charitable organization, and we work with girls, trans girls, and non-binary learners in specifically grades 6 to 9. This challenge is actually open for other grades as well. So if you're older, a little bit younger, we're so happy to have you here as well. And every year we run a national HackerGal hackathon. So stay tuned if you want to learn more about that. We work with students, and we also work with teachers to make sure that you're feeling supported, you're interested, you're excited about computer science, because we need more girls who know how to code in Canada. And Code for Change 2020. So as you may have heard in the original announcement, this is our first time ever doing this challenge. So I want to make sure you understand the purpose of it. I want to talk a little bit about the theme, Hindsight 2020, how technology is changing the world. And then I'm going to show you your participant kit, which maybe some of you have seen before, maybe not. So if I click this image here, it should take me to the Code for Change website, which we just launched on HackerGal Day on December 12th. So Code for Change is a virtual competition for girls designed to change the world we live in to better represent the people living in it. And there's a little short video here that you can watch, but I won't play it now just because of internet speed, but that's a video on our website. You can see the website URL at the top. So to be eligible for this challenge, you need to identify as a girl, live in Canada. You need to create a free account on Lynx Coding Platform. So if you haven't already done that, I'm going to walk through those steps today. And to make sure you only submit one project per participant. So the challenge requires that you work on one project over the course of the next about 6 weeks, and then submit one as opposed to multiple entries. And you need to register by January 15th. So there's still a lot of time to register, but the earlier you register, the more time you have to complete your project. And the deadline to submit the projects is January 31st at 11:59 EST, just before midnight. And I'm going to send you a special link so that you know how to submit those projects. So that's a little bit of the details, but it's really important to know that the purpose of this challenge is for girls to code about something they care about related to how technology is changing the world. And that's what our theme is about. So how technology is changing the world. 2020 has ushered in a digital transformation unlike any other, and this year's theme was built on that idea. Technology is in our homes, it's in our schools, it's in everything we do, from the grocery store to online shopping to banking. Everything is related to technology. And so that's what this theme is about, understanding and honoring the impact that technology has for better, and how it changes the way that we live our lives. So the idea to code a project on this theme can be up to your imagination. And if you have any ideas, please put those in the chat as well. I'd love to see what you're thinking about coding when you think of a project. Also on the website, we put this specific section here to help you think about what you might want your project to focus on. And I think this is to give you an idea of the wide range of projects that are all exciting and acceptable for this challenge. So the 5 different icons, I'm just going to read through them. So the first idea that we had is to reflect on 2020 and how technology has changed your life in particular. So maybe you're learning from home, or maybe you learned how to use new apps that you've never used before, or more video conferencing, or things like Zoom that we're on today, but talking specifically about how it's impacted your life. You might want to explore the future of technology and its impact on the world. So maybe you look bigger than your own life and you look at what technology might change for the future. There's lots of information and articles out there about how technology can make our future different and make it maybe easier for some people. And so I think that's a really exciting topic to explore. Also looking maybe at a specific technology. So now we have, cars without drivers, or we have cameras on our phone, or we have, our artificial intelligence that is changing the way that we live our lives, like Google Home or having Siri or Alexa, or all these different technologies. So maybe looking at a specific technology and how it's made an impact. This fourth one I really love, the idea of spotlighting a role model in technology and how they've made a difference. And this one could be someone in your community, maybe a teacher, maybe someone that's making a difference in your community with technology, or it could be a really big picture, like someone that you've seen in the world or in the nation that's using technology to make a difference, like using it for a purpose, to help connect people, or maybe to help make some people have easier lives, or have more information. And so there's lots of different reasons why technology is used to make the world better. And you could look at one specific role model that's making a difference. And then, of course, as always, you can use your own creativity. So if none of these ideas are really piquing your interest, you can think of your own topic, and it just is required to relate to this theme. And we purposely choose a big, exciting, open-ended theme because we want you to be creative. So this is all here on the website as well. Just as a reminder, there are 3 prizes, depending on whether you are first, second, or third place. And so you can read those prizes here. And then how are the projects judged and assessed? I think it's important to know your goals of what you want to create. So the criteria that we'll be looking at is how the code functions. So are you able to code a project that doesn't have bugs? Do your buttons work? Do you have images in the right places? Are you running procedures effectively? And we'll look at some of that today too. Also looking at design aesthetics. So how does your project look? Think of when you make a poster at school, or when you plan a slideshow, you really want to make sure it looks easy to read. User experience is a tech term that maybe some of you have heard of, but it means what is it like for a person to use your project? How easy is it? How fun is it? It's like the same thing when you write a story and you think about who's going to read your story. You want them to like it, to be entertained, to have an emotion about it. Same when you're coding. So coding a project that really has an impact on the person using it, AKA the user. So that's the user's experience, like the reader's experience. And then content related to the theme. So as we just talked about, this is our theme. It's important that your project is connected to it. So I'm sure you have many creative ideas, and the challenge is also making sure it fits within that theme. So maybe a story about your dog is really exciting, but does that connect with the theme? So we challenge you to think about that as you code your project. And then these are our guest judges, and you can read more about them. You can see my face, you can see Lucy's face, the co-founder of HackerGal. And then we have some experience of women in tech. Annie, Cindy, and Irene are all coders, and they know how to code, and they're excited to see what you code. And then Brianna is one of our HackerGal ambassadors, and she learned how to code in 2020 with our program, and she will be one of the guest judges as well. So this page is there. We want to make sure you have all that information available to you to look back at any time. And I will copy and paste this to the chat so you can see it there as well. And the next thing I wanted to do whoopsie, as we talked about, the purpose of the challenge is to code something that you care about. We've talked about the theme, which is about how technology is changing the world. And now I want to take a few minutes to show you what your participant kit looks like so that you know what tools you have in your toolbox to be successful. So I'm going to click this, which is a link. And I should also, yes, go here. And it takes you to a Google Drive. So I think this should be something that is in the email I sent you if you received that. And if not, just let me know. But I'll get the link here so I can make sure to share it in the chat with you as well. But the participant kit is free, of course, and it's given to every girl that will be emailed who participates in this challenge. And we made this kit with a few different pieces to help you be really successful in the project that you create. And it seems like my internet is taking its sweet time, but here we go. I will copy this link here. And I will put it in the chat. So if you want to open it and look at the same time, you can. And I will click done. And I will click into these 3 documents. So the first one is a PDF document, so you won't be able to like make a copy or anything. You can download it, you can print it, but I encourage you to look at it on your computer because it is packed with links that you can click on. So as I said at the beginning, one of the steps will be to create an account on the Lynx Coding website, and I will walk you through that process. And then after you've done that, you can just start thinking of your project and how it will relate to our theme. So this is similar to the website in that it gives you steps of how to create your account. It tells you the theme and gives you those ideas that I mentioned, shows you how to connect with us on social media if you're looking for more ideas. And then all of these little pictures are boxes of links. Sorry, they're images of links that will take you through to the resources described. So when we built this coding menu or resource menu, we wanted to think of all the different things that can help you build a really exciting project. So the first is looking at role models. What are the role models of women and girls that are in tech, and what are they doing? I really love Ria's story. She decided to, through coding, to build a technology that helps visually impaired people move around with something called a smart cane. So to be independent, to be confident as they move through the world safely. These resources here are great links to learn more about the tech industry and inspire you to think more about your project. And then the last 2 columns are specifically about coding and helping you code and and do graphic design. So these are tutorials. This one is a whole YouTube channel of different mini tutorials of how to do things on Lynx. So it's a great way to be a self-directed learner, to figure out what you need to know and to code different things like buttons and turtles. The Lynx color chart will be important once you start coding to really make the project your own. This is the master list of Lynx commands. And then a whole bunch of actual ways to make cool buttons, to be able to graphically design different art like pixel art, and how to get free images. So this is available, of course, to you, and you can click any of these images and it will automatically take you to where you need to go. So it's important to know that that is a clickable menu with all of the links embedded into it. So you can see I clicked that first one. It takes me to all of these tutorials that are recorded by HackerGal, and they will help you learn how to code on your own. So that is our coding menu. The next is our project planner. So I always find I love using a graphic organizer when I start to think about what I'm going to code and how I'm going to code, because it's really important to do some planning before we start the coding so that we have a purpose and an idea, and it helps me focus more on my idea. So these 4 boxes, they're optional. If you have your own way of planning, using a notepad and a piece of paper and a pen, that's totally cool. So I'm not going to tell you how to plan your project, but we did want to give you some stepping stones to help along the way. So if you'll notice, these 4 boxes are directly linked to the same criteria that I showed you of how the project is evaluated. So we looked for how it's connected to the theme. I talked a little bit about user experience earlier, about the coding, of course, and the design. So that visual graphic aspect of what you code. And so this, you can answer these questions and put some notes in there as you start to think. What I would recommend is going to File, selecting Make a Copy, and then you will have your own copy of this graphic organizer, and then you can write directly in it. So yours will be a view only where you can't write in it, but once you make your own copy, you'll be able to write your notes directly into this graphic organizer, and you don't have to write them in caps lock like me, but you can put your ideas in there. So as I said here, File and Make a Copy. And then there's an optional storyboard as well. So you could record kind of how many pages you want in your project and what you might do on each page. And this is how I coded my sample that I'm going to show you in a bit. But I use this graphic organizer to help flesh out my ideas. Again, I'm not marking this. The judges aren't looking at this. This is the behind the scenes part of the project that is designed to help you code more successfully, but it's not like you have to share this with me or show everyone your notes. This is your own planning tool. It's not a tool that we will be looking at to evaluate. So that's important to know. But it's directly connected to the same criteria, just so you know that connection here. All of these 4 bullet points are covered in this planning organizer. So it's a hot little tip to help you wow the judges, to make sure you're always thinking about these 4 things: what the topic is and how it relates to the theme, what coding you're going to do, how a user will play around with your project and enjoy it, and the design. So the colors, the clip art, all those design features that you put into your project. And then the last thing I want to share is our project scoring card. And this is what the judges will be using to score your project at the end. And we don't want to keep that a secret. We want you to know how your project is going to be evaluated, because I find that helps learners to be more successful. So again, these 4 topics are the exact same here as your, these 4 sections are the exact same as the planning guide. It just describes them in a little more detail. And I will share this with, well, I think actually I've shared it with you as part of this. So you can click it here. It's called the project scoring card. And it's a good thing to look at, say, halfway through your coding project, and you look and you're like, have I thought about all the different things? Have I added my own voice? Have I added interactive features? Have I thought about the visual design? Is my project fun to use? Are people going to experience joy while playing with my project? So keeping these things in mind. They're not to scare you off, it's to give you tools, because all the questions in here are pretty easy to achieve for you in your coding project. And I'm sure you do it in the projects you do at school already. So there's 3 items in our Code for Change participant kit, and we encourage you to use those along the way to be really successful in this challenge. And please let me know in the chat if there's any questions about these 3 options. But my next item on our agenda is to go in to see what a project looks like. So I will exit this and I'll go back to Slack now that we've looked at our participant kit. And I'll talk to you a little bit about this sample project. So you can see right from the title page, Hindsight 2020. It's a little play on words, because 2020 is the perfect vision. So if you have a perfect vision in hindsight, it's like having the perfect vision in the current time to look at the past. And so I kept that title for my project. And this is what the Lynx Coding Platform looks like. So this gives you a little bit of idea of what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to click this because it's a link here. And that takes me right to the Lynx page. You can see my title page here. And then I can go into edit. And you know what? Actually, first I'm just going to log into my account. Let's see if that works. Just so that I can be able to edit my project as well. Okay, so I'm going to log back into this one, the same view, my hindsight 2020 sample project. And now I have more options on the side here so that I can edit the project. So I'm going to double click in it, and I'm actually going to take my headphones off for a second so you can hear the sound. And how can you join the Code for Change Club? I will show you that. I'm going to answer that question. That's a great question. First, let's look at this project together, and then I will show you how to join the actual Code for Change Club page. So this project here is has a button that I've coded. So I'm just going to walk you through it. As I said, I'll take off my headphones here so you can hear the sound. Okay, hopefully you can still hear me, but let me know if you can't. It might sound a little bit different without my headphones. I'm gonna put them away. Okay, so when you enter this project, you're gonna hear some music, so maybe check your volume. I'm gonna click enter. You should hear some funky beats. I'm going to click stop all just so you can hear my voice, but I wanted to show you that I coded music. You can see on the side here, when you click enter, I coded launch music. So it plays that music that I put on to my story. So the first page of my project is technology. It's called, that's the title. It says tech is part of my everyday life more than ever. It changes the way I interact with the people in my life, the way that I work, and pretty much everything I do. Can you find the two pieces of technology that I have in my room? Click around the room to see what happens. If you can put them in the chat, I will click there, but you can see there's plants, there's boxes, there's pictures. There is the narrator of the story, and there's a light and a dog. Okay, the first person said computer, so let's click it. You got it, my laptop. I can't live without this piece of technology. I'm on it right now. And in this case, I said, I'm on it right now, sending some emails. So that's the first one. The second one, where do you see the phone? Alina's saying phone. Is it in the shelf? On the shelf. Yes, here. Yeah, you betcha. My phone. This is how I keep in touch with my family and my friends. Any others that you see? I know I said find two, but sometimes there's something called an Easter egg, which is like a hidden piece of code in a project. And I wonder if either of you could figure that out. Any other wild guesses? Okay, we'll click on and we'll see what happens. So again, I've coded announcements into these different, they're called turtles, and I've coded announcements so that when I click in, let's say we said the dog was a piece of technology. It says, good guess, but please try again. Or if we said the plant, good guess, please try again. So when you click different places, different things happen. And then I'm going to click this arrow. Technology in the past. Technology is defined as the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes. So technology has actually meant a lot of different things over time, including the clock in my room. So that was my hidden sneaky one if you found it. So let's look at some examples of transportation technology in the past, because technology affects all different parts of the world. And one example that I use here is technology. So we might not think of a bicycle or a car or a bus or a plane as technology, but those are all examples of technology. So if I click them here, again, I've coded announcements. For some reason, my annonce is in French, and I will figure that out later, but it tells you a little bit about each example of technology, when they were invented, and of course, it shows my sources here. So it's really important. I'm sure you learned that from your teachers in school, but to always give credit to where the information came from, because I didn't make this up with my head. I found it on the internet, and so I make sure to include my sources here. And maybe you've heard of the Wright brothers, but they are the inventors of the first airplane. Then we'll click through my project and technology today. So I'm sure you probably do this too, but technology has also changed my life by allowing me to connect with people all over the world. And I've lived in different parts of the world, so I have friends in different parts of the world. So I'm going to click, let's start over here. And see what happens. Oh, my headphones have connected again. Hold on. That's why you can't hear it. Okay, let's try now. Let me turn off my Bluetooth to make sure it doesn't take over again. Okay, so it's click on the people to learn more. My best friend Jess lives in Shanghai, China. We connect all the time through WhatsApp, and it makes it feel like she's not so far away. And let's try clicking this character. This is my friend Ryan. He lives in Saskatchewan with his family, and I can connect with him using FaceTime to see his kids and where he lives. So this is examples again of, they're called turtles or different animations that you can click, and instead of using an audio that I found on the internet, I recorded my own voice on my phone and then I sent it to my computer, and then you can see these are all my voice recordings. So if I wanted to, I could hide these ones, but I kept them there just so you could see that I had different audio files that are coded in here. And these are all things that you can learn how to do in your project. And a big hint is it's not so tricky. I'm going to show you on the side here. You can see the simple procedures here that says to meet Ryan, launch Ryan, end. And then there's a pattern. All of these procedures are the exact same, but they have different names that match these audio files. So an example of how you can code to make sure your procedures match your page. And I'm going to show you more about that. Don't worry. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Again, I'm going to stop the music so you can hear it. But again, you can see that I coded music. This page is about a reflection. There's another Easter egg here, something that you can click to do something. Actually, there's a button, the Meet the Developer button, but there's also this power button that when you click it, it turns the computer off by putting this black image over top. And then you can click Meet the Developer. And that's how I ended my project, by giving a bit of information about me. And I encourage you to do the same when you're coding, is thinking about how you can do a Meet the Developer page that maybe has a photo of you or a Bitmoji or an avatar and a little bit of information about you as well. And then this is a button that I've coded to go back to home. So my project is, I think, 6 pages, and then has various different procedures in here. But in order to understand a little bit about this project, I think it's important to see how the project began. I just want to show you, if I go here and I click create a project, this is a brand new project. It is literally a blank slate with this little black turtle in there. And that's how every project starts. So it's hard to believe sometimes that this can turn into something like this, but I show you this not to scare you away, but to show you that actually there's so many possibilities of what you can code. It's not like you're trying to make one thing or copy the same format of my project. You literally have a blank slate of all the different things you can do. And if you go onto this Lynx website and you click all projects, you will see so many different projects coded by students all across Canada, and I will send you some of the links to them too. But it's a great way to get inspiration of other projects. And I'll send you one of my favorites from one of our HackerGal ambassadors is this game here. You can click on it. I'm going to click share and copy, and I'll just put it in the chat so you can get an idea. And that's the game I just shared is a game that's coded about getting a good night's sleep. So it's not related to the Code for Change challenge, but it's an example of coding a game with different buttons and music in a totally different scenery than mine. Okay. Not to get off course. So how I want to answer your question now and then go a little bit into a couple tips on how to code things on Lynx. So I am going to try and put my headphones back in so it's easier to hear. You have two, I can see saying that you have 2 accounts on Lynx. Okay, hopefully you can still hear me. Let me know. 2 questions. Okay, perfect. So write out your 2 questions, and I will start by showing the first answer to the first question about how to create an account. So the first thing, oh, how to join the club was the first question, actually. Okay, so the first thing is going to lynxcoding.club. I'm going to leave this. I don't need to save it because I already did. And this is the Lynx Coding homepage. And this webinar is being recorded, so I'll send it to you after as well, so you can review it. If you can't follow the steps with me now, I think it's important to watch and know them in your head as a starting, and then you can press pause and play when you watch the recording later. So the first step is, I'm going to log out so you can see the process, is you need to log into your account, and then you can use any of these third-party accounts to be able to create an account. And the reason why we want you to create an account is because that's how you save your work. So as you code, you can pick up where you left off and keep coding a project, a bigger and more juicy project, without restarting every single time. And it goes through a third party, so I won't Lynx won't have your email address. It just is a way of making sure that there is a way to save your work along. So you can see all the projects that I've done, and they're saved here. So that's the first step. The next step is to make sure that you have a permanent account. So you need to go to, as I just did, click your name. I call mine Hacker Gal Facilitator, but you would click profile underneath and it will bring you to this page. It's the profile page of your Lynx account. So step 1 is signing in through an email. The step 2 was clicking profile in the drop-down menu. Then from there, you're going to see subscription. If you've already done this, maybe you did it with your teacher at your school, it will say independent here. If you've never done this before, it will say trial here under subscription. And if it says trial, that means we want to change it. Mine says school club because I'm a teacher, but I'm going to show you. So trial is that 15-day free account, but these are also free. Note that this is the US amount here, so that does not apply. Lynx is free for all Canadians, so just ignore the price tag. It won't ask for any sort of payment information. And then you would click individual here. And then once you do that, it will prompt you to answer some questions. Because my account is already made, I won't have those questions, but the questions are just to put in a username. You don't have to share your last name. It is to put in a postal code, and then there's a drop-down menu that asks you to select Hacker Gal, so we know that you're part of our program. And then it should be like this, say subscription and individual. And that's the part when you can now join the club, because I know that's an important part of being part of the Code for Change Challenge. And then I'm going to show you how to do that. Just going to get the link. 1 second. So the first step, making sure that you've signed in, and you know you've signed in because you can see your name here. In my case, it says Hacker Gal Facilitator, but yours would say your name. And you know that it says individual here. Now the final step is clicking the specific invitation link that I sent via email, and I will send it right now to the chat as well. So I'm copying it here, and then I'm pasting it here, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So when I paste the same thing that I pasted there, it says Hacker Gal Code for Change 2020.lynxcoding.club/join/ZPE4BUR3. And that's the special link. It's the same for everyone for the next month, and that will help you join the club. So let's see what happens when I select it here. It takes me to this club page. It says Hacker Gal Code for Change 2020. Welcome to the Code for Change page. Girls across Canada can save their coding projects on this club page. So that's how you join the club. And from then on, whenever you log into your account, you will see Code for Change here. I'm part of many different clubs just because I help many different schools, but for you, it will just say Lynx Community, which is the whole public Lynx account. And then Hacker Gal Code for Change is where you're going to want to click, and it will always take you to this page. So every time I go, so let's say I type in lynxcoding.club, and then I look and I say, okay, it's time for me to work on my Code for Change challenge. I click here, and then I click Create Project. Okay, and then that will take you into a project. And then you can save your work and it will be private for you to see. No one else will see it on the club page until you allow them to. So if you see here, oops, I need to first save my project. So I'm going to call it Kumiko Code for Change. And then I'm going to click save. And then when I go back here, my project is saved here. When I click all projects, I don't see it because I've still kept it this private project for me. But when I'm ready, I'll be able to share it. And then everyone, eventually in January, everyone's project will be here once we all click on save and we're ready to share our work, and we'll be able to see all the girls' projects across Canada. But for now, while you're coding, if you're not ready to share your work yet, you can save it into my projects and it will always be there for you to pick up where you left off. Mariam, let me know if you have any questions that I haven't answered yet, but I'll keep walking through some of the coding tips now, because that's the next part of this webinar. How can I change settings to code in French? Definitely. So what you can do, I'm going to click back, is right beside your name, you can click Français, and then you'll notice that it says tous les projets, mes projets, à propos de Lynx, and you can click, and instead of create a project, it says créer un projet Lynx. And then when I click that, all of the tools and all of the code is in French. So these are little dialog boxes that give you tips about the different areas of the Lynx. And I don't know a lot of the French commands, but I do know avancer, which is the same as forward. And if I type in 100, then it moves my turtle forward 100. So this is how you can code in French. And if you click this little book here, it will take you to, this is the same in English, but all of the main Lynx commands in French, en français, and you can look through at them and how they work. So this is a great place to start. I know some of them I just said off the top. Avance is the one I said. There's a whole bunch more to turn different directions. And is this, I think, fixed form is the same as set shape. This is a really popular one. Yeah, so just to recap, you would first, before even opening a project, you look beside your name and then you would click English or French. I'm going to click English for the sake of this webinar because my French is rusty, but I definitely encourage you to code in French if that's what you're comfortable with and that's how you want to learn. And Melissa, our program manager, will be looking at the French projects, and we have some of our guest judges are French coders as well. So we'll definitely make sure we can include your project. And then the second question is, do you click your profile, then click on Lynx or HackerGal to Code for Change 2021? So great question. So once you see your name here, you will see profile, Lynx, and always when you're coding, click HackerGal Code for Change 2020. And then you will click create a project. And then that's how you'll get the project saved here. So you could try it now if you want to. You'll click HackerGal Code for Change, create a project, and I'll show you how you change the settings. So you see it says private right there. And when I go to this share button, if you can see it in the top right corner, these three circles connected by lines, when I click them and I go to sharing options, I can create a link. And so right now I could share this link with you. It's not very exciting because I'm sharing a blank page, but you can also click project properties. And if I unclick private, that means that other students can see my work. So now I unclicked private, I'm going to click save, and then I'm going to click back here. And now my project is still saved in my projects, but also in all projects, you can see my example here. So I'll put my sample project here so you can see it after. I need to upload it into this group or this club, but this is how you can choose. And if you say, you know what, I'm not ready, I don't want to share my project yet, I can always change my mind and click private again. And then that way only I will see the project. So that's different. We'll worry more about that when you submit your project. It's important it's unclicked private so that we can share it with the judges. But while you're working on it, you can keep it completely confidential until you're ready to share. Okay, so let me get back on track here. And it's great if you have more questions, keep them coming. So I just want to show you a little bit about, perfect. It says that you're already an individual. That's great. So you're already good to go. Then all you need to do is click the invitation link, which I will recopy and paste, but then you click this and then you should see, after you click that invitation link, you should have the option always to click Hacker Gal Code for Change. And that's how you'll always see the name there. You'll see my little message and then you'll know you're in the right place. So that's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick little walkthrough of Lynx. And again, this will be recorded, so don't try and do this part at the same time, but just have a look at mine and try to kind of get a general idea. Obviously, you're not expected to memorize. So these things I'm clicking through, the first thing said this is the work area, this is the command center, this is where you can add objects and sample art. So these little boxes give you hints of everything that's on this page. So although I'm clicking through them quickly because I know I'm going to walk you through, it's important to look through those and they give you really great hints. And I'm just reading your question. It says you are an individual. Yeah, so you don't have to click anything. If it already says under subscription individual, just leave it as is. You're good to go. The only thing you need to do is click the invitation link above, or sorry, just copy and paste that, and then it should put you into our club. So let me know if that doesn't work. Okay, so a quick lay of the land. The work area is where all of your code will be shown, where you can see all of the exciting things happening as you saw on my project. The command center is like a testing ground where you can set things up, where you can test the code. Remember in French, I tested forward 100. I also could test back 100. You can kind of get things set up. I can move my turtle any place I want to get started, just by clicking it and dragging it around. All of the images in my sample project were once this little black turtle, and then I slowly put on different costumes to make the turtle look like an exciting interactive story. This little red dot is telling me I should save my work because I've done something. I've moved this turtle around, so I'm just going to click save. It is not a Google Doc. It will not automatically save. So please remember to save your work as you go whenever you see that little red dot. Sometimes I just set an alarm on my phone so I remember because I hate that feeling of losing my work. Okay, so I'm just going to skip to the settings because I think it's really important that I put it on huge font so you can see what I'm typing. And I personally love putting it on dark mode. So these are all the settings here. I leave it on autocomplete and learner mode because that helps me because I'm still new to code. I showed you the save button. I also want to show you this plus button. I think you'll use this a lot to add more turtles that can become images, to add text to your story, to add buttons. Sliders are a little bit more tricky, but there's lots of information out there if you want to use them. Hyperlinks, or if you want to add links that the user can click in your project. As you saw in mine, you can add sound, you can add music or voice. You can add new pages, of course. We don't want every project to be one page. And then you can add sample clip art. So I'll show you some of these features over the next 10 minutes, and then I'll give you more time to ask questions. The cloud down arrow allows you to look at other sample projects or to import projects. Not as useful right away, but maybe later on as you code, or if you ever collaborate on a project and your friend sends it to you, then you could import it and keep working on it, then send it back to her, and then she could code. So eventually, if you want to do some partner coding. This keyboard with the hands on it will always take you back to this procedures pane. And as you saw in my project, this is where a lot of the real code happens, where we start to save our procedures that are executed in the work area. The little house will take you to the clip art. I have no clip art in here because I'm just getting started, and yours will look the same. And the project tree is a cool place to see all of the code. So right now I only have one page and one turtle. But as you become and build more projects, you'll see there'll be lots of different pages and lots of turtles, and this helps you keep track. Or if I'm trying to delete a page, I can delete it. If I want to change the name from page 1 to page 2, I can do that here as well. The settings I already showed you. The back button you saw me use a little bit. If you're going to click back, make sure you save first. The book button, the same as in French. It gives you a hint of the 40, I think about 40 most important commands in Lynx. And all of my project was coded only using these commands, I believe. Maybe a little bit extra, but mostly set shape was the one I used a lot. Set size is what I used a lot. And these are a great way to start because it will tell you, okay, if I click set shape, how do I use it? It gives you steps on how to do it. And you just follow along by going back and forth. So actually our ambassadors say they use the book the most. The help button is another really important tool on how to code. It will answer your questions. So if I want to say delete this turtle and I don't know how, I type in here, delete turtle, and then deleting or removing turtles, and it tells me how to do it. Right click on the turtle you want to delete. A dialog box will open, click the trash can. So I'm going to right click, the dialog box opened, aha, I see the trash can here, and I delete it. So the help button is a great way to learn. If I want to change the color of something, I will type in color and press enter. How do I change my turtle's color? It says you can use set color as a command, and then it gives you hints. You can say set color 15, you can say set color blue and use those little apostrophes, and you can use it in square brackets as well. So let's try that. If I add a turtle, I'm going to try set size, which makes my turtle change size. Let's try 70 so you can see it a little bit bigger. And then the help button told me set color 15 will change the color of my turtle. Okay, it goes to red. Let's try another color. Let's try 25. Set color space 25. Now my turtle is orange. Let's try, I know there are 140 colors in the Lynx program, so I'm going to try 139. Let's see. Okay, it goes like this dark purple color. So again, that's how you can use the help button to figure out things that you can do on code. I'm going to add some clip art to my project here. So let me, oops, I see it's a red button. So I'm just going to click save first. And then I'm going to go to the plus button and click sample clip art. And let's say I want to add a background to my project to get it started. So you can see I click backgrounds and my images started to populate. So now I can go back to my procedures pane here, and then I can also see all of my clip art that I just added here. And I told you set shape is one that I used all the time to get started because that's how I add backgrounds. So I'm going to use this, let's see, this beautiful background. It kind of looks like BC in the mountains. So I'm going to do set shape. And if you're wondering what set shape does, you can always hover your mouse on top and read. It says that it sets the shape of the turtle or sets several shapes for an animation based on the turtle going forward or backward. And it gives me an example there, set shape 1. So in this case, I wanted to do this BC background. I can see the number 6 there. So I'm going to do set shape 6. So set shape space 6. And then I've now changed that turtle to this big background image. It's a little too big, so I'm going to change the size, set size 40. Let's see, that's a little bit bigger. Yeah, it looks like it fits perfectly. So again, now I have changed that turtle. It's still a turtle. If I do set shape 0, it will always go back to my little purple turtle. But I used set shape 6 to make sure it goes to that background. So now I have a background on the first page of my story. And I want to freeze this background. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to click frozen. And that way it won't always move around. Okay, it's stuck. I'm trying to drag it, but it won't. Okay, and the red button reminds me to save. I am a saving maniac because I've lost my work too many times. And then I'm going to press plus and I'm going to put some text here. Text could be an important part of your Code for Change project. So let's say and living in BC, I learned about a tech role model named ... So maybe this is a story about a different role model in tech. So you can put text, so you can see when I highlight it, I can make my text bigger, I can bold it, all the usual text formatting tools that you're probably used to seeing. Again, I can right click to open my dialog box, and I can freeze it. I can make it transparent. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, so now it kind of is a little bit harder to read. So maybe I'll right click again, and I will not make it transparent because that makes it easier to see. The only way you can move a text box is by clicking the label. See, it says text 1. That's how I can move it. If I try and move it from up here, it doesn't work. I have to click the little word text 1. I can change the size. Maybe I want it to be this little kind of skinnier text box there. And now I like where it is. So I'm going to click frozen. I'm going to remove the name so you don't have to see that text 1. And then there's the beginning of my project. I want to show you how to use the procedures pane. So I'm just going to take 2 minutes, and that's great that your background is fitting perfectly in. That means it's size 40. So anytime you add an image, it's automatically size 40. So if you want it bigger, you use a number bigger than 40, or smaller, you use a number smaller than 40. I'm saving, and then I'm going to show you how to do a procedure that will go from one page to the next page. So in my project, I use those little black arrows at the bottom to change the page, and I'll show you how you can add a button to do that. So the first thing is I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to add a page, and now you can see it says page 2 here, and I can use these arrows to go back and forth. But we're coders, we're not going through a slideshow, so we want everything to happen in buttons, just like on websites or on apps, we click buttons. So I'm going to go to plus, and I'm going to add a button, and I use these buttons in my project as well. And I'm going to move my button exactly where I want it, which is this right corner, and I can use this to make it bigger or smaller. And then I right click to change the name. So this is going to say next page, and then I'm going to click apply. So I know what I want my button to do, but when I click it, nothing happens because I haven't done any coding. So I'm going to build some code over here in my procedures pane. So I'm going to type in 2. Every procedure starts with 2. And then I'm going to type in next page. The name of your procedure should give a hint of what the procedure is doing. So this is going to go to the next page. So it's a great title. You can never do a space, just as a tip, because then it won't know that it's the same procedure name. It needs to be connected by an underscore or a dash or something like that. So 2. And then the command I'm going to use is next page, and it goes green because it is a word or a command that the Lynx language knows. So it says displays the next page. That's perfect. And then end. Every procedure starts with 2, ends with end. It's the only way to make your code run. So remember that. If you remember nothing else from today, just remember you need a procedure hamburger. It has a top bun 2, a bottom bun end, and then all the ingredients go in the middle. And that's how you can get your buttons to work. So the next step is I'm going to right click on my button. It says my name and it says on click. On click is how you make things happen. So I'm going to look down and I can see my procedure is there. Okay, so now I click apply. So I've taken this procedure, I've connected it to this button here, and I clicked apply. So now these two things are working together. And then when I click next page, it should take me to page 3. Sorry, page 2. And it did. Okay, so I can go back. This button was coded. The code is here, and it took me to the next page. And I can see a question. What if you want to go to page 3 and not the page beside it? Yeah, great. That's an awesome thing to do because sometimes we want to code like a choose your own adventure story. Like if you click this button, it says you're right. And if you click this button, you're wrong. Or if you click this button, it'll take you to the, maybe a sad ending. Or if you click this button, it takes you to a happy ending, something like that. So the other way to do it is you can, instead of next page, you could add another button, let's say, the same thing. I add it. Let's say I put it here, and I know this button is going to go to page 3 instead, or maybe it says skip page. Okay. And then again, I'm going to make my procedure. So 2, and in this case, it's 2. You said go to page 3. And I am going to write here, page 3, and then I'm going to write end. And let's see if that works. I've got 2, I've got end. Let's see what happens. It doesn't come up. And the reason it doesn't come up is because page 3 is the name of the page. So it can't be the same as the name of the procedure. This is a little bit of a tricky part to understand, but I need to make this a little bit different. So I'm just going to go page_3. This is the name of the procedure. This is the name of the page. Now, let me see. When I go to on click, it says page 3, and I'll click apply. So now skip page takes me to page 3. I should put a little turtle here so you know. And then next page takes me to page 2. So now you can choose. If you want to go to page 100, you can do a procedure that said page 100 if you code a project that big. But you see, it gave me a hint when I made that mistake. It says page 3 is already used. And so Lynx will do that, give you wonderful little hints that can tell you when there's bugs in your code. And so if you pay attention to them, you can debug your code, just like I did today by using the underscore there. Awesome. So this is like one way to get from page to page. You could also code a turtle. So let's say we made this turtle. I'm going to go a little bit faster because I'm aware of time. I'll just show you this last trick to be an arrow. Okay, so I'm going to change this turtle. I'm going to do set shape 20. You can watch this recording again to see what I did. So that could be my back button. Instead of using the button, I used a turtle. They can do the same thing though. So if I code this button to go back by making a procedure, this turtle becomes a button. So I'm going to say to back page, and then that command is prev page, and then end. And then I'm going to connect it to this turtle. I'm going to freeze the turtle and on click, back page, apply, and then it will take me back to page 2. So you can see that you could code different buttons that look different ways. And I chose this little image, but I could also, let's say I made it an animal even. Let's say I made this a lynx by clicking set shape. Let me make sure I click it, 25. Whoopsie. I did set shape 2. I don't know what I did there. Let's see, I think I clicked it. Here he is, okay. So I'm gonna change this one here to set shape 25. So now it becomes my lynx, but the lynx still has the same code in it, right? It still has the back page. So whenever I click my lynx, it takes me back. And that's how I coded my computer that you found. And it said, when you click the computer, there's an announcement because I coded a turtle. Yeah, let me know your one last question. And how do you become an ambassador? HackerGal ambassadors, we're going to be inviting new HackerGal ambassadors to come in the new year. So stay tuned. If you'd like to become an ambassador, participating in the Code for Change Challenge is a great start. And then we will open up the applications you can apply to be an ambassador in early 2021. So we will let you know. I'm really happy to hear that you're interested in being an ambassador. We would love to have more ambassadors. Okay, so I know that was a quick little coding lesson. You can look at this video after. I'm going to put the recording up on our social media page, and I can send it to you as well. And so just to recap, I want to let you know your next steps. So the first thing is to look at the virtual participant kit that we went through today and start exploring our theme. The second is create a Lynx account. We already did that one today, so check. To join the club, it sounds like you both did join the club, and let me check. Actually, I can check if you joined the club actually I should save my project, and then I'm going to click back. I will check actually after I stop the recording, just so we don't need to record your names. And then plan your own creative project. That's step 4, of course, is to start coding your project before the due date. Then how do you submit your project? So in an email in January, I'm going to send you this link But when you are done your project, you will complete this submission form. And all it is ask again for your first name, your last initial, a few questions, and then it's going to ask you to put in a link. So what you will do is use this link here, make sure unprivate is clicked, and then you'll click copy, and then you will paste it into the submission form in the next page. I can't go there without filling this all out, but if you click next, and that's how you'll submit your project, and then I can see it and our judges will be able to see it as well. And so the due date is January 31st, as I said. If you're not already on the HackerGal Hub, it can also be a great way to learn how to code. It's free. If I move this little thing, it's hub.hackergal.org, and that's where we keep all of our lessons. You can go through the lessons step by step. You would sign up as a learner, get your parent permission, of course, and then that's how you can also follow along. You don't need to do this because you have all of your tools in your participant kit, but it's an option as well. And then thank you for participating. So those were all the main things I wanted to cover. I'm going to stop our recording now. And thank you so much for listening. So I'm going to stop here.